Hello everyone, welcome back. So we will be following the same pattern as in the last semester this term also. Okay, I will be giving you video lectures. So you have to see them, go through them, go read the textbook thoroughly and study. Okay, I will be giving you homework also. Today we are going to start with chapter 8 of Science 1. The name of the chapter is Metallurgy. So metallurgy, in this chapter we are going to study about metals and non-metals. Okay, first we will be studying about the physical properties of metals and non-metals. Then we will be studying about the chemical properties of metals and non-metals. Then extraction of metals and corrosion. These are the four main topics of the chapter. First, we will study about the physical properties of metals and non-metals. So you have studied in your earlier classes that earlier the elements, okay, you know the difference between elements, compounds and mixtures. The elements were classified into metals, non-metals and metalloids. Now today we are going to study about the difference between physical properties and chemical properties of metals and non-metals. First we will study about the difference between physical properties of metals and non-metals. You may see I have written the physical properties. The first physical property is the state, that is state of matter, whether it is a solid, liquid or a gas. Okay. Now state, metals, you may see metals are generally solid. They are generally solid. Non-metals, they exist in solid state also and gaseous state also. There is an exception, bromine. Bromine is in the form of a liquid. Okay. Next property is luster. Luster means shine. Now metals possess the property of shine. Their surface is generally shiny. So they possess the property of, metals possess the property of luster. Non-metals do not possess the property of luster. There is an exception. Exception is iodine. It is having a shiny surface. Okay, shiny structure. Who? Iodine. Iodine is a non-metal. You have to study the exceptions very thoroughly, okay, because generally the questions are asked on exceptions. Hardness, okay, metals are generally hard. Exception is lithium, sodium, potassium. These are alkali metals. Okay, they could be cut with a knife. They are so soft. Non-metals are not hard, but the exception is diamond. Diamond is the hardest substance and it is made up of carbon. Carbon is the non-metal. It is basically made up of carbon. You had studied this in 9th standard, isn't it? Okay, it is made up of carbon and it is the hardest substance. Next is ductility and malleability. What is ductility? It is the ability to be drawn into wires. And what is malleability? Malleability is the ability to be beaten into thin sheets. Okay. So what is ductility? Ductility is the ability to be drawn into wires. And what is malleability? Malleability is the ability to be beaten into thin sheets. Okay. Now metals generally possess the property of ductility and malleability. They have the property of ductility and malleability, whereas non-metals do not possess the property of ductility and malleability. The next property is melting point and boiling point. Generally, metals are having high melting and boiling points. The tungsten, the element, the metal tungsten, it is having the highest melting point, that is 3422 degree Celsius. This is a objective question which could be asked. What is the melting point? It is 3422 degree Celsius. What is the exception? Exception is sodium, potassium, mercury, gallium, which are having low melting points. Okay. What are they? Sodium, potassium, mercury, gallium, they are having low melting points. In case of non-metals, their melting point and boiling point are generally low. Next property is conductivity. What is conductivity? The ability to transfer conductivity of heat and electricity. Metals are generally good conductors of heat and electricity, and non-metals are bad conductors of heat and electricity. But there is an exception, graphite. Graphite is a good conductor of electricity, okay, and graphite is made up of carbon, and carbon is a non-metal. The last property is sonority. Sonorous means it is a ringing sound, okay, ringing sound. This ringing sound is produced in case of metals but not in non-metals. So these are the physical properties of metals and non-metals. What are they? The state, whether it is in solid, liquid or gaseous state, luster, hardness, ductility and malleability, melting point and boiling point, conductivity, conductiveness of heat and conduction of heat and electricity, and sonority. Okay, so this is about the physical properties. Now we may move on to the chemical properties. Next we may start with chemical properties of metals. So metals are generally electropositive. Now what do you mean by electropositive? We had studied this in the second chapter. Electropositivity is the ability to lose electrons. Okay, metals generally have 1 or 2 or 3 electrons in its outermost shell. Those who are having 1 electron, they will lose that 1 electron. Those who are having 2 electrons, they will lose those 2 electrons, and those who are having 3 electrons will lose those 3 electrons. Okay, so they will lose electrons and they will lose their negative charge and they will become electropositive. So metals are generally electropositive. You may see on page number 94, the first paragraph, it is a give reason question, why metals are generally electropositive. Why they are electropositive? Because they lose electrons and become electropositive. Now, towards the right, there is a do you know box. Substances which are good conductors of heat are usually good conductors of electricity as well. Similarly, bad conductors of heat are bad conductors of electricity as well. But there is an exception. Exception is diamond, which is a good conductor of electricity but bad conductor of heat. Okay. Now there is a try this question. What you have been given? You have been given some metals. You have to heat it on a burner, on the flame of a burner. There are some questions given. Which metal catches fire readily? That is sodium. Okay, sodium catches fire immediately. Okay, because it is very highly reactive. How does the surface of a metal appear on catching fire? They appear to be grayish black. What is the color of the flame while the metal is burning on the flame? Okay, what is the color of the flame? I have given the color of the flame here. You may write this in your textbook itself because this question is asked as an objective question. Aluminium will burn with a white flame. Copper will burn with a blue-green flame. It will show blue-green color. Iron will show golden or brown color. Lead will show grayish white color. Magnesium will show white color, zinc will show blue-green color, and sodium will show yellow color. This you may write in your textbook itself. Now, the first property is reaction with oxygen. A metal reacts with oxygen to form a metal oxide. So, you may learn this statement first. What is the statement? Metal reacts with oxygen to form metal oxide. Sodium reacts with oxygen to form sodium oxide. Magnesium reacts with oxygen to form magnesium oxide. Potassium reacts with oxygen to form potassium oxide. Lead reacts with oxygen to form lead oxide. Calcium reacts with oxygen to form calcium oxide. So a metal reacts with oxygen to form metal oxide. That is the basic reaction. Now, sodium is very highly reactive. Sodium, if it is kept open, it will react immediately with oxygen. Okay, no need of burning it. So sodium cannot be kept in open, it is kept under kerosene, inside kerosene. It cannot be kept in water also, because it is very highly reactive with water. It is a very highly exothermic reaction. Exothermic reaction means the heat is given out, that means it burns. So sodium is kept under kerosene. There is a give reason on page number 94, the second paragraph below the heading reaction of metals with oxygen. On exposure to air, sodium readily catches fire. Therefore, to prevent accident in the laboratory or elsewhere, it is kept in kerosene. It is a very important point. Okay, and these oxides, when they dissolve in water, if you dissolve this salt, this oxide in water, you will get an alkali. Okay, you will get a base. So 4Na plus oxygen will give you sodium oxide. Metal plus oxygen will give you metal oxide. This is a solid. That solid, if you dissolve in water, you will get an aqueous solution of alkali sodium hydroxide. Magnesium reacts with oxygen to form magnesium oxide. If you mix that magnesium oxide in water, they will react and form an alkali, that is magnesium hydroxide. These are the equations given in the textbook. The question could be write a balanced chemical equation showing reaction of metal sodium with oxygen or magnesium with oxygen. Okay, otherwise a give reason sodium is kept under kerosene. Why? Okay, next is reaction with water. The basic, the outline is metal plus water gives salt plus hydrogen. This is the skeleton reaction. Metal plus water will give salt plus hydrogen. Any salt means not necessarily sodium chloride. Only sodium chloride is not a salt. All other compounds, ionic compounds, are generally called as salts. Do you remember in 9th standard you had studied those compounds which do not have H plus or OH minus ions, they are called as salts. Okay, so here the reaction is metal plus water gives salt plus hydrogen. Here again sodium and potassium is very highly reactive. If you put sodium or potassium into water, it will explode. If you want to see fire on water, you may put sodium into water, it will explode, it will give out fire which with a very high sound. Okay, very exploding sound. So you should not be putting sodium or potassium into water, it will splash on your face. So sodium plus water, there is a reaction to form sodium hydroxide, hydrogen and heat. Large amount of heat is liberated, due to which this hydrogen, it will catch fire. So which is the gas which is burning? The gas which is burning is hydrogen. Okay, so the reaction is sodium plus water gives sodium hydroxide plus hydrogen plus large amount of heat. This is a highly exothermic reaction. Now potassium also reacts with water to form potassium hydroxide plus hydrogen plus large amount of heat. Even this catches fire. This is a highly exothermic reaction. Which gas is liberated? Hydrogen gas is liberated. Next is calcium. Calcium is comparatively less reactive. If you put calcium into water, it doesn't burn. It will move in a circular motion, okay, and it will become smaller and smaller. Now what is happening due to that time? It floats. Why does it float? Because calcium reacts with water, producing calcium hydroxide and hydrogen gas. Large amount of heat is not liberated. Now what will that hydrogen gas do? It will remain stuck to the calcium metal. Okay, the calcium solid which is present in water, the bubbles of hydrogen will remain. They will be clinging to that calcium, due to which it floats. Okay, so calcium floats on water because of the hydrogen which is produced during the reaction. Now aluminium reacts with steam. You may see Now this reacts, sodium reacts with cold water, potassium also reacts with cold water, calcium also reacts with cold water, chalta hai attitude, okay. Magnesium does not react with cold water, it will react with hot water only because it is less reactive compared to that of sodium and potassium, okay. Just a different attitude of magnesium. Again, the less reactive metals like aluminium, iron, zinc, they do not react with either hot water or cold water, okay. Now with what does it react? Do they react? They react with steam. You may see the difference in the equation. In this and in this equation they have written L, that means it is in liquid form. Who is in liquid form? Water is in liquid form. Here in this case it is in gaseous form, that means it is reacting with gas, that is steam. Okay, it is reacting with water vapor, that is steam. So aluminium reacts with steam to form aluminium oxide. They do not form hydroxide, aluminium oxide, and which gas is liberated? Hydrogen gas is liberated. Again, iron reacts with steam to form iron oxide and hydrogen gas is liberated. Zinc reacts with steam to form zinc oxide and hydrogen gas is liberated. Okay, so what you have to note here, you have to note two things. Sodium and potassium immediately reacts with cold water with an exploding sound and it catches fire. Which is the gas which is burning? It is hydrogen, and it is a highly exothermic reaction. Calcium floats on water due to the bubbles of hydrogen. Okay. The aluminium, iron and zinc, they do not react with cold water, they react with steam to form their oxides and not hydroxides. But which gas is liberated? The gas liberated is hydrogen. Now you may see on page number 95 there is a diagram. They will give you that diagram and ask questions. Figure 8.2. Okay, see that diagram very clearly. In the test tube which is placed horizontally, they have placed a glass wool soaked in water. Okay, they cannot take water directly because the metal is placed a little in front of the glass wool. Okay, they cannot take water because the metal will then dip in water. It is of no use. So what is done? There is a glass wool which is placed. The glass wool is soaked in water. What will happen? You have to heat it. When you heat it, the water which is present in the glass wool, it will get converted into steam, and the steam will move inside the test tube, and that steam will react with the metal which is placed. You may see the metal sample, and the reaction will take place. Okay, so what is the importance of that glass wool soaked in water? Because the water which is present in glass wool, when it is heated, it will get converted into steam, and that steam will react with that metal sample, and the gas which is produced will come down, that is hydrogen gas, and it is collected by upward displacement. Okay, sorry, downward displacement of water. That means you have to keep the test tube inverted and the hydrogen gas will get collected up. They will give you a different diagram, and the mistake also could be asked. The diagram could be asked for labeling. The diagram could be asked for 1 mark questions also. Okay, so these are the questions which could be asked. You may mark this in your textbook. Now the next is reaction of metals with acids. There is a misprint in the textbook on page number 95. C, reaction of metals with acids. Above that there is a question. Test whether the metals gold, silver and copper react with water. They generally do not react with water. Next is reaction of metals with acids. Now all the metals, they react with acids in a different way. That means their reactivity for some elements, the reactivity is more and some elements are less reactive. Just like we saw in the case of reaction of metals with water. Sodium, potassium are highly reactive, calcium is a less reactive, magnesium is also less reactive, okay, and iron, zinc, they react with steam, okay, so they are less reactive. That means there is a reactivity series. We will come to that reactivity series later. On page number 95, figure 8.3, you may see you have to take a test tube, you have to put the zinc granules, that means that of a metal in it. To that you have to add hydrochloric acid. The metal will react with hydrochloric acid to form the particular salt and hydrogen gas. The hydrogen gas will rise up, it will come down through the delivery tube and it is collected. It will come out of that trough which is containing some water, okay. When it is coming out, if you show a burning candle, that gas will burn with a crackling sound. That point is very, very important there. The hydrogen gas which is liberated, it burns with a crackling sound. It is a confirmatory test to show that the gas which is liberated is hydrogen. You may underline that. So while metals react with acids, which gas is liberated? Hydrogen gas is liberated, okay. It is an objective question. Now towards the left hand side below the towards the bottom of the page, they have given a reactivity series. That means magnesium is more reactive than aluminium, aluminium is more reactive than zinc, and zinc is more reactive than iron, okay. So that series, this could be asked as an objective question. They will give you different options, you have to write the correct option, which one is more reactive. Now after some time I will show you how to determine which one is more reactive and which one is less reactive, okay. Actually it depends upon its valency and the ability to lose electrons. Now the first one is reaction of metals with acids. Metal will react with acid to form salt and hydrogen gas. Magnesium, which is a solid, it will react with hydrochloric acid, which is aqueous, to form magnesium chloride, which is a salt, and hydrogen gas. Aluminium will react with hydrochloric acid to form aluminium chloride and hydrogen gas. Iron will react with hydrochloric acid to form iron chloride and hydrogen gas. Zinc will react with hydrochloric acid to form zinc chloride and hydrogen gas, okay. These reactions you have to learn, okay. Next is reaction of metals with nitric acids, okay. Now different types of nitrogen oxides are formed when copper reacts with either concentrated nitric acid or dilute nitric acid. This reaction we had studied in the third chapter, I think, okay. Third chapter we had studied about the brown colored fumes of this gas, that is nitrogen dioxide gas. It is poisonous, okay. Now copper reacts with concentrated nitric acid to form copper nitrate plus nitrogen dioxide plus water, and copper will react with dilute nitric acid to form copper nitrate plus nitrogen oxide gas and water, okay. There is difference in these two equations. These two equations you have to learn. It is generally asked as a fill in the blank question, or otherwise you will be asked to write the reaction itself, okay. Now we may move on to the next point, that is aqua regia, which has been given in the textbook in a box. It is a very important question, a board question. Aqua regia is a highly corrosive and fuming liquid. It is one of the few reagents which can dissolve noble metals like gold and platinum. Aqua regia is freshly prepared by mixing concentrated hydrochloric acid and concentrated nitric acid in the ratio 3:1. The question is, what is aqua regia? Aqua regia is a solvent which is able to dissolve the noble metals. It is prepared by mixing concentrated hydrochloric acid and nitric acid in the ratio 3:1. This is the answer which you have to write. Okay, you have to write concentrated hydrochloric acid and concentrated nitric acid. So this is about aqua regia, a very important question from this chapter. Now the next is reactivity of metals with salts of other metals. That means you had studied about displacement reaction in chapter 3. What is displacement reaction? In displacement reaction, a more reactive element displaces a less reactive element. Okay, do you remember? You had studied about copper sulfate and iron. Okay, iron is more reactive than copper, so iron will displace copper and form iron sulfate, and copper will be displaced. There is an experimental setup, figure 8.4. Sorry, there are two test tubes given. In one test tube they have taken the copper sulfate solution, in the other test tube they have taken the iron sulfate solution. In the first test tube they have dipped an iron nail into it, and in the other test tube they have dipped a copper wire into it. Now in that case the reaction take place in the first test tube. Why? Because the copper sulfate solution and iron nail is there. Iron is more reactive than copper, so iron will displace copper and form iron sulfate. Now there are some questions. In which test tube a reaction has taken place? The reaction has taken place in the first test tube. The reaction does not take place in the second test tube because copper is less reactive than iron. Okay, so copper won't displace iron. So the solution FeSO4 will remain as it is. Okay, so there will be no reaction in the second test tube. There will be reaction in the first test tube. This next question is, how did you recognize that a reaction has taken place? How will you recognize? Because the blue color will fade and the solution will become a little greenish. You may write blue color fades and turns to green. Now why does it become green color? It becomes green color because FeSO4 is green in color. What is the reaction taking place? CuSO4 plus Fe gives FeSO4 plus Cu. I repeat, CuSO4 plus Fe gives FeSO4 plus Cu. CuSO4 is the reactant. It is blue in color. That is why first the solution was blue. The reaction is taking place, and what are the products? FeSO4 and Cu. Okay, so FeSO4 is green in color, so the solution will turn greenish. Okay, and the iron nail will have a reddish deposit of copper on it. Okay, so this is a type of displacement reaction. So a metal react with salts of other metals. It depends upon the reactivity of that element. Now we are moving on to the next topic, that is reactivity series. It is a very important topic. Now what is reactivity series? It is a series arrangement of elements in the increasing or decreasing order of their reactivity. The metals are arranged in the increasing order or decreasing order of their reactivity. Okay, that is said to be reactivity series. So based on this property, which property? Metals, reaction of metals with salts of other metals. Okay, based on this reactions, these reactions, they are arranged. Okay, they are arranged either in the increasing order or decreasing order of their reactivity. Now in figure on page number 97, figure 8.5, they have arranged the elements, that is metals, in the decreasing order of their reactivity. That means the elements which are at the top, that means potassium, sodium, lithium, calcium, magnesium, aluminium, these are highly reactive. Okay, that also they are in the decreasing order. That means sodium is less reactive than potassium, lithium is less reactive than sodium, calcium is less reactive than lithium, magnesium is less reactive than calcium, and so on. Okay, so they are arranged in the decreasing order of their reactivity. So potassium, sodium, lithium, calcium, magnesium, aluminium, zinc, iron, tin, lead, copper, mercury, silver, gold. Okay, this is the decreasing order of reactivity of the metals. What is the definition for reactivity series? Towards the right, okay, the paragraph towards the right of that diagram, the arrangement of metals in the increasing or decreasing order of reactivity is called the reactivity series of metals. Metals are divided into following groups according to their reactivity: highly reactive metals, moderately reactive metals, and less reactive metals. So this is the arrangement. Okay, this is the order in which they are arranged. Now how to learn it? I have given a phrase to show how to learn it. Please send lions, cats, monkeys and zebras in 10 large cages. It is a message, MSG. P stands for potassium, S is sodium, Li is lithium, Ca is calcium, M is magnesium, A is aluminium, Z is zinc, I is iron, tin is tin, L is lead, okay, L is lead, C is copper, mercury, okay, copper, mercury, silver, gold. MSG is mercury, silver, gold. I repeat: potassium, sodium, lithium, calcium, magnesium, aluminium, zinc, iron, tin, lead, copper, mercury, silver, gold. Okay, you may learn it in this order. If you are having a question on arrange the elements in the increasing order or decreasing order, you may go through this and do it accordingly. So this is the reactivity series. So what is reactivity series? It is the arrangement of metals in the increasing or decreasing order of their reactivity. Based on this, the metals are classified into 3 groups. What are they? Highly reactive, moderately reactive and less reactive. Okay, which are highly reactive? The first 4 are basically highly reactive. Magnesium and calcium comes, magnesium, aluminium, they are also highly reactive. Then zinc, lead, zinc, tin, zinc, iron, tin, lead, okay, these are less reactive, these are moderately reactive, and the remaining are less reactive. I repeat, the first 6 are highly reactive. After that, zinc, iron, tin, lead, copper. Copper could be included in moderately reactive also, less reactive also, and mercury, silver, gold, these are less reactive. Okay, so based on the reactivity of metals with salts of other metals, they are arranged in a reactivity series. This is a very important question from this chapter. You have to thoroughly learn what is reactivity series and the arrangement and what is the classification. Okay, the diagram, the figure is also important. That means in the figure, by the arrow, they have shown the reaction goes on decreasing. The reactivity goes on decreasing as you go downwards. Okay, that means the first 4, they will immediately react with water. The next reaction with acids, okay, till lead they react with acids also. Copper also reacts with acid, but the reactivity is less. Reaction, most of the compound, most of the metals react with oxygen except gold they have given. And higher, the reactivity is higher upwards and lower downwards. This is about reactivity series. Now the last is reaction of metals with non-metals. A metal will lose electrons to form positive ions. Non-metal will gain electrons to form negative ion. A positive ion and a negative ion will combine together by electrostatic force of attraction to form an ionic compound. That bond is called as ionic bond. Last year also you had studied about formation of sodium chloride. Sodium, it is a metal. It will lose one electron to form sodium 1 plus ion. Chlorine, it is a non-metal. It will gain one electron to form Cl minus ion. Na plus ion and Cl minus ion will combine together to form NaCl, which is sodium chloride. It is an ionic compound. Which bond is there? Ionic bond is there. What is the force of attraction? It is electrostatic force of attraction. Okay, so this is about the chemical properties of metals. What are they? First is reaction with oxygen. Second was reaction with water. Third was reaction with acids. Fourth is reaction of metals with other metals. And the fifth is reaction of metals with non-metals. Okay, this is a very important part of the chapter. The reactions also could be asked, and there are several small questions also which I have discussed. Now we may move on to the next topic. Now the next is chemical properties of non-metals. On page number 97, the non-metals are electronegative elements. Why they are electronegative elements? Because at the time of reactions they have a tendency to gain electrons. They are having 5, 6 or 7 electrons in their outermost orbit. Those who are having 5 will gain 3 electrons. Those who are having 6 will gain 2 electrons. Those who are having 7 will gain 1 electron. So they will gain electrons to become electronegative. So non-metals have a tendency to become electronegative and metals have a tendency to become electropositive. Why? Because metals have a tendency to lose electrons and non-metals have a tendency to gain electrons. Now the first chemical property is reaction of non-metals with oxygen. You may see the reaction on page number 97. C plus O2 when it is burnt. On complete combustion, complete burning, combustion means burning, it will form CO2. It is an acidic oxide. Acidic oxide means when it is dissolved in water, it will react with water to form an acid. Okay, and C plus O2 partial combustion, when it is partially burnt, then it will form 2CO, which is a neutral oxide. S plus O2 gives SO2, which is acidic. So non-metal plus oxygen will give non-metal oxide. Now the next is reaction of non-metals with water. Generally non-metals do not react with water, but halogens. Who are halogens? Those belonging to 7th group or 17th group, 7th A or 17th group. They react with water to form acids. Example given is chlorine. It reacts with water to form HOCl. HOCl is hypochlorous acid and hydrochloric acid. Next is reaction of dilute acids with non-metals. Again, non-metals generally do not react with dilute acids, but the halogens react. Chlorine react with dilute acid. It reacts with HBr, that is bromic acid, to form hydrochloric acid and bromine. Next is reaction of non-metals with hydrogen. The non-metals react with hydrogen at proper temperature, pressure or in the presence of a catalyst to form their hydrides. S plus H2 gives H2S, which is hydrogen sulfide. S is sulfur. N2 plus 3H2, that is nitrogen plus hydrogen, will form NH3, that is ammonia. So these are the chemical properties of non-metals. Now there is a use your brain power question. In the reaction between chlorine and HBr, that is bromic acid, a transformation of HBr into Br2 take place. Can this transformation be called as oxidation? Yes. Which is the oxidant that brings about the reaction? It is chlorine. Now do you remember you had studied this in 3rd chapter about oxidation and reduction. Oil rig. I had told you about oil rig. Oxidation is losing electrons and reduction is gaining electrons. Here HBr means H is having the valency 1 plus, Br is having the valency 1 minus. Here Cl is in the form of a gas, so it is 0. When the reaction is taking place, it is forming HCl and Br2. So HCl, it is H is 1 plus and Cl is 1 minus, and it is Br2, it is 0. If you remember, I had explained this in third chapter. Okay. Here 1 minus is getting converted into 0. 1 minus means it is having 1 electron extra, more. I repeat, 1 minus means it is having 1 electron more. 1 plus means it is having 1 electron less. So here 1 minus is getting converted into 0. This is having 1 electron more. It will lose that 1 electron and form 0. So this is oxidation. Okay, what is getting oxidized? This is getting oxidized to bromine, is getting oxidized. Chlorine, it was 0 and it has become 1 minus. That means it gained that 1 electron. So reduction is gaining electrons, oxidation is losing electrons. 1 minus to 0 is oxidation, 0 to 1 minus is reduction. So which is the oxidant? Oxidant is the one who oxidizes the other. So this is oxidizing this. So this is the oxidant. Chlorine is the oxidant. So today we have studied about the physical and chemical properties of metals and non-metals. This is a very important chapter. The chapter is having a weightage of 6 marks. Okay. Several questions, small, big, long answers are also asked. All type of questions, 1 mark, 2 mark, 3 mark, 5 marks. All types of questions could be asked from this chapter. So you may go through the textbook for this part and ask doubts. Okay. Thank you.